So, hello everybody. Welcome to our Saladana Virtual. Let's start off with the mute off so that we can all say hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, my name is Yama Peruana. And I'm,
Hello, Yama Peruana.
and I'm
No, I own food. No video, huh? How are people? How are you all?
Fine. Surviving.
Yeah. Imagine it's between surviving and fine. Probably somewhere in that range. Well, today we're going to explore a little bit the theme, you might say, will be the second foundation of mindfulness, which has to do with what they call feeling tone. And so like surviving is probably on the edge of not very pleasant, right? Versus well is more pleasant. We'll talk about that a little bit later. We're going to meditate for about 25 minutes. And it's going to be, for the most part, a typical practice of using the breath and the body to, I'll just put you guys on mute here. Using the breath and the body as an anchor for our attention. And when there's thoughts, when there's images, when there's distractions, we try to just let them go and come back to the body or the breath, or maybe even sounds. And then for the final about 5 minutes or so, I'm going to introduce this second foundation of mindfulness, this feeling tone. And don't worry about it. It'll just be a minor bit of instructions about being aware of whether your experience is pleasant or unpleasant or neutral, neither pleasant nor unpleasant. So yeah, are there any questions about what we're going to do? You could just raise your hand. I think I could see everybody. As long as you have video, of course. Everybody's good? Okay. So yeah, let's find a comfortable posture.
There's a question.
Oh, Yama Peruana, you have a question. You want to just put it in the chat box, or do you want me to unmute you? I'll just unmute you. Did it unmute? Yeah. Okay.
I need some materials. I don't have things for meditation. I need something.
You want guidance, or do you mean you need like a chair or a cushion? Are you still there? Oh, what happened? You went.
Yes, like a chair and things.
So just anything you can sit on. A chair, a couch, a bed, a couple pillows, anything would be fine. Just try to find a posture that's comfortable. It doesn't need to be like the photos. It doesn't need to be exactly like images of the Buddha. Just something that's comfortable with your back straight. Okay. So let's find that comfortable posture where the back is straight. Normally, we close our eyes for this practice to avoid visual distractions. And what we want to do is bring our awareness inside our bodies. Even if you're using sound as an anchor, the sound is hitting your eardrum inside. So even there, you're inside the body. So let's start with a brief body scan. Starting at the head. Just try to feel your head. Feel your face, maybe your jaw. If you notice any tension, you could just try to loosen, relax whatever area is tense, the jaw, your forehead, maybe your eyes, just relax. And then dropping the awareness into the body, into the torso. Trying to feel the front of the body, the chest, the belly. Maybe you notice sensations in the belly, maybe hunger, or if you just ate, a sense of fullness. Feeling the back of the torso, the back body. Noticing any tension. A lot of us carry tension in our back and in our shoulders. Just try to relax those areas. Feeling the arms, the upper arms, the lower arms, the hands. Here you should be able to feel the point of contact between your hands and your legs or your lap or each other. We're just noticing, feeling, not judging, not even interpreting, just noticing. Moving to our sit bones, where they touch the chair or the cushion or the couch or the bed, the pillow, whatever you're sitting on. Maybe feeling the weight of the body, the pressure. Feeling your legs, the thighs, the knees, the lower legs, the feet. And maybe one time, try to feel your whole body at once. As if we could bathe or wrap our whole body, our whole posture in awareness, in loving awareness, kind awareness. And now let's try to find the breath, the sensations of breathing. So traditionally, there are 3 areas where the breath is obvious or easy to see, to feel, to experience. One is around the nostrils, where we're breathing in and we're breathing out. One is at the chest, the movement of the chest, and also the movement of the belly. So it is suggested that you find a spot that you like, that is easy for you to feel the breath, and let that be your anchor. Let that be your home base. And this will be where you will go back to each time you notice the mind is distracted, that the mind is lost in thought, planning, worrying, doubting, judging, whatever it might be. And with those thoughts, we try to just let them go. We can even imagine they're like clouds in the sky passing by, or leaves on the surface of a river or stream, just floating downriver. And just let them go, just let them pass by. And then with intention, with volition, we come back to our anchor, our home base, that spot we chose of the breath, or you could feel the breath in the whole body, the body breathing. You can also use your physical form as a home base, the whole body, the posture. And as I mentioned, you can also use sounds, the listening, the process of listening. Try to pick one that you like, and then let's practice for a while, just coming back to that spot and feeling, experiencing, knowing the breath or the body or hearing. Being mindful of that experience, whatever it might be. if you find it supportive, or if you have a practice of labeling, you can label your experience to help you stay connected to the present moment. So for instance, you could label your breath, inhaling, exhaling, inhaling, exhaling. Then maybe you get lost in thought and you could just label that, thinking, thinking. And then as you return to your anchor, returning, returning, inhaling, exhaling. If you are experiencing a lot of thought, or the mind is obsessing, thinking about something and it just can't let go, you might try looking to the body, looking into the body to see if you can find any sensation, whether it be physical or emotional, in the body that might be connected to that obsession, connected to that thought. And if you can, try to feel the sensation, experience the sensation, and see if that doesn't allow the mind to let go of the thought, at least for a moment. So if your mind is a little more calm and stable, and you would like to try this second foundation of mindfulness, we've been doing the first one, mindfulness of body, mindfulness of breath. What I invite you to do is to let the mind kind of wander as it wants to. And anytime it makes contact with something, just kind of ask yourself, is that something pleasant or unpleasant? Do I like it or not? Or no importa, it's neutral. So you have three choices: pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. You don't need to analyze it, don't need to think about it too much, just whatever your first reaction is. Ooh, no me gusta. Or, oh, that's rather nice. And just let the mind kind of freely move about the body, maybe hearing sounds, wherever it wants to go, and just follow along, being mindful of feeling tone, we call it, being mindful of whether you like it or don't like it, or it's neutral. no matter where you are, where you've been, let's come back to the body. Let's come back to that embodied presence, feeling our inner life, feeling our energy body, our physical body, our emotional body, whatever might be alive. You might notice different sensations in the body from the beginning of the meditation. Possibly body parts are sleeping, your feet, a leg. Or maybe there's some pleasant tingling, tickling. Or maybe there's an emotion present that wasn't there before. Just want to feel these things, embrace whatever's present. And then maybe allowing the awareness to extend a little beyond the physical form into our energy field. Feeling any sensation at the level of the skin. And then imagining you can extend your awareness to include everybody here on this virtual Saladana, this call. Imagining every one of them, every one of us here together, and remembering, recalling that we practice not only for our own well-being, but the well-being of all beings, and that everybody else is practicing for that reason as well. And when you hear the sound of the bell, again, just noticing whatever arises, not judging, not pushing it away, just noticing. Thank you very much for meditating with us. It's such a privilege and a pleasure to do this and to stay connected with familiar faces. And I know you're a long ways away, but you feel quite close right now. So I thought what I would do, and hopefully this doesn't get too kind of technical or too much like class. I don't want it to be exactly like class, but I thought to have a little bit of, structure while we're sheltering in place, while we're stuck inside. We could learn a little bit of studying, right, of the Buddha Dharma, of the teachings of the Buddha. And so on Thursday, I've been talking about the Satipatthana from the Satipatthana Sutta. And the Satipatthana is a Pali word that basically means the 4 foundations of mindfulness. Sati being the word for mindfulness. And so in the last couple of weeks, we talked about the first foundation or establishment, which is the body and the breath. There are actually, I think, 7 different parts to that one, including the elements, the 4 elements, contemplating death, there's some things that we did not do, but I thought I would just kind of briefly or more in a general way cover these four. So I thought we'd move to the second foundation of mindfulness, the second establishment, which is mindfulness of feelings. They call it mindfulness of feelings, although not in the sense of emotions. It doesn't mean sentimientos or emociones. It's more a feeling tone, they call it. It's more like the flavor of our experience. And so we did a little bit of that at the very end of the practice, right? We did about 5-6 minutes of being mindful of whether we like something or we don't like something, or it's just neutral, right? We don't really care. And this awareness plays a fundamental role in the Buddhist teachings. It shows up in the 5 aggregates, which is essentially all consciousness and form that exists in all conditional existence. It shows up in dependent origination. It shows up in the 4 foundations of mindfulness. And it was believed, and I support this, that it is automatic, it's instinctual for human beings and for all beings to be either aware consciously or aware unconsciously, whether they like something or not, for our own survival, right? It's like if we see something or if we're aware of something that we like, that we think will benefit us, we approach it, we want it. And if we see a threat or if we see something that might harm us, we are averse to it. We want to push it away. And this has helped us to survive, but it hasn't particularly helped us to be happy, right? It hasn't really helped us to find that serenity and that equanimity in our life, because we're constantly being pushed and pulled with what we like and don't like, right? Or even sometimes worst case, where we're neutral. The mind doesn't like neutral, right? The mind wants to be engaged. It either wants to be approaching or pushing away. And if it's just neutral, which can lead to confusion, then it sort of feels lost. So that also is one that we want to be aware of. And the Buddha, as I think you guys all know, felt that the cause of our suffering was craving, was wanting, right? Tanha, the word in Pali, of which aversion or hatred or anger or ill will is really just the other side of that craving. We're craving that it goes away. It's the same, right? We're craving to have some, or we're craving that it goes away. Either way, that wanting is the source of our suffering. And so the Vedana, and I'm going to try to move to share screen so you can see a little bit of what I'm talking about on print. Let's see if I can find it. Uh-oh. Sometimes, well, you know what? I'm going to go straight to this book here. Now, can I move that over there? I can, and then I can go here. This book that I have up, I hope is, oh, what I do? Pardon my, there we go. Okay. This book is by Joseph Goldstein. Many of you have seen it. We have a couple copies at Saladana, and it's Mindfulness, The Path to Realization, I think it's called, the subtitle, or Awakening, A Practical Guide to Awakening. And there's a beautiful Spanish translation, too, of the book. It's almost, you could almost call it the Bible of mindfulness. And so here highlighted is his kind of description of what I just said. So Vedana, that's the Pali word, is precisely this very specific meaning, is more narrowly defined than just feeling. Mindfulness of feeling is one of the master keys that both reveals and unlocks the deepest patterns of our conditioning. I mean, I literally think it's instinctual, going back to, all animals share it. Deepest patterns of our conditioning. Vedana refers specifically to that quality of pleasantness, unpleasantness, and neutrality that arise with the contact of each moment's experience. So this is, hopefully you saw a little bit of that in the meditation, where maybe you noticed your foot was asleep and the first reaction might be, ooh, unpleasant, right? I don't like that. Or there was some tingling. Ah, pleasant. Or some people don't even like tingling, so they might have thought unpleasant. And one of the things I find interesting about this is that it's not the same for everybody, right? It's very subjective. It's very much influenced by our conditioning. These deep patterns of our conditioning are different for each one of us. So what might be pleasant for one person might not be pleasant for somebody else. So again, just looking at the highlighted part, Joseph writes, the feeling tone of experience is so vitally important because it conditions our various reactions in the mind and actions in the world. Right? As we're almost led by Vedana. It's like Vedana leads us. We're conditioned in a certain way to like or dislike certain things. And when those arise, we either follow them or we push them away. When we're not mindful, and this is really what we're doing, we're practicing on being mindful because we know that a lot of times we're not mindful. When we're not mindful, pleasant feelings habitually condition desire and clinging. Unpleasant feelings condition dislike and aversion. And neutral feelings condition delusion or confusion or ignorance. That is not really knowing what is going on. Yet when we are mindful, these very same feelings become the vehicle of our freedom. So that's like so powerful, right? The vehicle of our freedom. And so the way I sort of see this is when I'm aware that a pleasant Vedana has arisen, right? That there's now this pull towards something. All I have to do is just be aware of that, maybe name it, pleasant. And usually the desire dissipates, right? I don't get pulled to whatever that is by just being aware of it, naming it, feeling it. It usually goes. The same with the flip side, right? If I really don't like something, like for instance, at the beginning of the meditation, our door was opening and closing because there's some wind and so forth. And, I was a little worried that would be distracting for you guys, and it was distracting for me. And, so there was a little bit of surge of irritation that had an unpleasant feeling tone. And what's interesting is it's not so much the door, it's not about the object. The fact that the door is opening and closing is really irrelevant. It's my reaction to it, which usually has something to do with expectation. It has something to do with wanting. There's factors that go into it. When it's really warm, like today, it's supposed to get up into the 32, 33 degrees centigrade here in the desert. Having a door that kind of opens and closes might be kind of refreshing, right? You want that because you want some wind and so forth. So it all just depends. And 99% of our reaction to these things are internal. They're having to do, with our perceptions, our wants, our conditioning, and so forth. let's see, you got a couple more minutes. And what I thought I would, well, first I thought I would take a little vote to make sure to see if you guys want to do small breaks, of which we can do at the end. I'm happy to stay on and we could do some small, not breaks, breakout rooms. Have a break for breakout rooms. But before we do that, we'll do a little metta meditation. But I want to add one other thing on this Vedana. Just give me 1 second on the sharing. Let's see, how do I do that again? I gotta go, hold on. So share screen again, and I have another page. Hopefully I can find it. That's Kindle. So if I go here, and then am I able to pick? Here we go, here we go, here we go. And then are they able to see that, I wonder? So, sorry. Can you guys see the second foundation of mindfulness, Vedana? Does that show up on your screen, or is it still the book? Actually, I need someone to tell me here. Well, maybe it doesn't matter. I'm just gonna tell you something here that actually, I'm just gonna stop that. Never mind. I wasn't sure whether you guys could see it, so I'll just bring it up. So I mentioned that this Vedana, this mindfulness of feelings or feelings, playing such an essential role in Buddhism that it is even part of the 12 parts of dependent origination, which is one of the most unique things that the Buddha came up with, some insight that nobody had reached then and probably even now. And it talks about how we get to suffering, what happens, where we start and how we end up. And the thing that I think is very important in the Vedana part for us is that contact with our sense doors is what precedes the Vedana. So, you know, Chema Muela said this the other day when he was leading a meditation. I liked it very much. He said, meditation basically is just connecting to our senses, to our sense doors, our sentidos, right? So it's dropping out of the thinking mind and then connecting with our 5 tactile senses and the mind, which is the 6th one in Buddhism. So Vedana, as soon as we make contact with whatever is arising at a sense door, that's when the Vedana happens, which would include thought. So like, let's say a thought arises, oh, Jim's talk today is too dense, right? It's too many words. Let's say that arises, that judgment, then there's contact, you're aware of that thought, and then there's going to be Vedana. There's going to be, no me gusta, right? Or no me importa. But there's a split moment there where we can be aware, where we actually have a little bit of will, you might say, is right in between that point of contact, or right at that point of contact. And this is, I think, a very fun practice where we can get beyond the push and the pull of our instincts, the push and the pull of our conditionality. And we can get to a point where you can almost say we're detached, or we're not hooked. There's no engancho. We become more the masters of our own mind. We're not reactive. Maybe there's the word I want. We're not reactive. That reactivity is as a result of the Vedana. No me gusta, push it away, react, yell, whatever. Or me gusta, ooh, I want more of that. And we can start to become more and more aware of that contact, right? Before the reaction. And that's really where we're trying to go. We're trying to get to a place of less reactivity. Less reactivity, more equanimity, more peace in our lives. So there's my little push, my little sale. I'm a salesman. I got a mini Trump inside of me, right? I like to sell things. And I found this one very useful, this Vedana. And it's gotten, and I'll be honest, it's gotten to the point where, especially when I'm practicing, worst case, things are neutral. Very rarely now do I not like something or is something unpleasant. It's been very nice. It's almost everything can be kind of cultivated to be pleasant. You know, even my doggone nose, you know, that has this sinus problem. When we were practicing, I'm like, is this pleasant or unpleasant? Yeah, in a way it's kind of unpleasant, but it's not so bad, you know? I don't really care. It's fine. Anyways, I'm glad to be here myself because my nose is a pain in the nose, I'll tell you that. Anyways, is there any questions or anybody who'd like to share? I'm just going to unmute you, and if you have something to share, you could just say it into the room. Anybody have a question or anything? Oh, Anna Monica has one. Say it.
Well, I don't have a question. I have a comment.
Okay.
One of the things that I've really enjoyed becoming aware of is that the Vedana, the pleasant or unpleasant that comes with contact with an object isn't always the same.
Mm.
You know, something that has been like automatically unpleasant for most of my life, with practice, I see that object again and suddenly it's just neutral or it's possibly even pleasant. And that's really interesting to me because it also tells me that it's not in the object, that it's something that can be nurtured and cultured, learned and unlearned, because there are a lot of like stereotypes or discrimination sorts of things that we might see something in the world and have a judgment that that's wrong or something. But with practice, I've experienced now seeing it and thinking or feeling or not having an automatic unpleasant feeling tone. So that's been very helpful because beyond the awareness, it can actually change. It's not just, oh, now I'm aware of this conditioning that I can do nothing about. I can become aware of the conditioning and practice.
Yeah, anyone else have a comment or even have noticed this?
I had a comment. It's not a question, but a comment. Just this is very useful for me today, particularly because I've back problem, a disc herniation, and it's usually fine. But yesterday it went out on me again, and I've been in a lot of pain the last couple of days. So this has been really useful today in particular. So thank you for that, because I found throughout the meditation that, you know, I was having to kind of correct my posture a lot, but I was trying to just be aware of the feeling of it, and rather than getting caught in the pain of just sort of identifying it and naming it, as you were saying. It was very useful for that, so thank you.
Thank you, Damien. Yes. Yeah, this one does lead also into that two arrows, the second arrow teaching, where the first arrow is the back pain, and then the second arrow is wanting the back pain to be different, wanting it to go away. And it's that second area where we suffer. You know, pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. That's kind of one of the sayings.
En Teruel, la ciudad de Teruel, nada de la enfermedad. No hay nadie.
No sé, es para nosotros, but okay, well, in our last few minutes, why don't we do a short metta practice, And then if you'd like to stay and be in a small group, or maybe it'll just be a few of us in the main group, I will stay on. But for now, why don't we do a short metta meditation, and I'll put everybody back on mute. Okay, so once again, we want to find a comfortable posture. And by the way, I'm going to lead this one. I listened to a metta meditation with Bhante. His name is Bhante Samatavihari. Yesterday, the Mexican-American monk who came to Saladana, and I'm going to lead it in the way he did it. I liked it quite a bit. But still using our usual four groups, but slightly different deseos, wishes. So finding a comfortable posture. And for those who don't know, we're going to offer good wishes, goodwill to ourselves and others through phrases. So starting with ourselves in the first person. May I be well. May I be happy. May I be comfortable. May I be peaceful. So now let's expand the group to include us, our Sangha here this afternoon, this morning, depending on where you are. May we be well. May we be happy. May we be comfortable. May we be peaceful. And now expanding our intention to include people or a person or a being who you might call difficult. Maybe they did something that hurt our feelings, or maybe they're not listening to the rules as they are now. And yes, they're very challenging, but they're being maybe reckless. Just somebody you're having a little difficulty with. Let's try to include them in this field of goodwill, of metta. And I'm going to use the pronoun he for this one, but you could use whatever works for you. May he be well. May he be happy. May he be comfortable. May he be peaceful. And now extending out to include all beings, big and small, no matter how many legs they have, no matter where they are, seen and unseen. Just imagining that goodwill can just radiate out from our bodies, touching all beings. May all beings be well. May all beings be happy. May all beings be comfortable. May all beings be peaceful. And now to close our session today by dedicating the merit, the fruit, the benefits of our practice, of our Sangha, of our Buddha nature, and of the teachings for the benefit of all beings. May all beings be happy and peaceful, healthy and strong, safe and protected. May all beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering, free from war and violence and discrimination, and free from coronavirus. And may all beings find their path, find the wisdom and the teachings to hold them so that they have less reactivity in their life and more equanimity, more peace. And a little shout out to those on the front lines of this battle, I guess you might say, this crisis, the doctors and the nurses and the delivery people and those who are at risk. May they be free from harm. And may all beings be happy. May all beings be free. Thank you again for being here. And yeah, if you want to break out into small groups, we could do that. Maybe about 6-7 minutes in groups of 3. I see you're still here, so I'm assuming that means you want to do that. Happy to do that. Yeah, and if you don't, I will hopefully see you next time. So we'll just see what happens. I'll form the groups, and those who want to stay will stay, and those who don't won't. So let's see. We've got, I think right now, let's see what happens. Ready, set, go. Kind of move them around, so make sure.